All right, big man, welcome to the Dog Walk presented by Barstool Sports. Today I am joined by Jason Freeman and Jeff Wright, two legends in my eyes, because you guys are you're the owners of the Fusion brands, which makes a bunch of great drinks, Mimitas, Pirate Water, Four Loko, but first and foremost, you guys are the creators of the original Four Loko. So I'm excited to talk to you guys. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, of course.
Thanks for having us on.
So let's start at the beginning. How did this happen? People kind of know like the story about like just two guys like in a dorm room or something. So Jeff, Jason, I don't know how we lead this off, but how did the original Four Loko come to be?
It's interesting. I'll let Jeff tell stories better than I do, but we're shooting a documentary right now, so it's kind of fresh, which will be coming out very soon. But yeah, everyone has this idea that we're in the basement of a fraternity mixing up a brew by ourselves, but it's a lot more intricate than that. Go for it, Jeff.
Well, I mean, we were the core demographic of our own product. We were all mid-20s, hitting up the bar scene. I was in Arizona at the time. Jason was in Chicago. I believe Chris was in Ohio at the time. But we saw this movement, Red Bull and vodka. They were actually crushing it. I was consuming a ton of those every weekend. And we saw an opportunity maybe to come out with a pre-packaged in a can caffeine plus, it's called a caffeinated malt beverage. None of us had really much industry experience. I was selling industrial gases. Jason was a currency trader, and Chris was distributing liquor, I believe, either in Illinois or Ohio. So we put together a business plan. The business plan was to create this product called Four, and our business plan showed revenues 5 years down the road doing $1 million. And reality is within 5 years, we were doing $200 million in revenue. It was unbelievable. We didn't have any capital. We had to go to our parents, go deep in the well, max out our credit cards. I presented the business plan to my dad. He's like, "You got to be crazy." To my parents, he's like, "You got to be crazy. One, I don't have $100,000, but let me see what I can do." So he went down to his local Chase bank, applied for a home equity line of credit, gets called back the next day. His loan was denied. So my dad, having the balls he had, sent an email to Jamie Dimon. He had no idea who Jamie Dimon was. And the sob story, creating the American dream. He wanted to invest in his son's dream. 3 weeks later, he gets a call back from Chase Bank, and they approved his $100,000 home equity line of credit. Jason's parents actually borrowed against their 401k, and fortunately, we got an SBA loan, and we were off to the races with roughly $300,000.
All right, so to rewind a little bit, Jamie Dimon, he was the CEO of Chase, right?
Yes.
Yes.
JP Morgan.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. How did he even get in contact with him?
Well, what we found was that he responds to every email from anybody, and so whether it's a team or it's him, he responds to everyone. And we kind of looked this up after, which is amazing, right? I'm sure the amount of inflow of traffic in his email box must be crazy, but it was a good lesson learned of a CEO that obviously cares and responds to his customers. So.
No shit. All right. So this is, like you said, way more intricate than I was expecting.
Yes.
I was like, I pictured you guys around a drug with like a wiffle ball bat mixing this thing together.
It would have been a lot cooler.
we like to keep those myths out there, and as we finally got the money, we started out and we were like, okay, if we don't make this work, not only are we going to be living on the street, our families are as well. So we really don't have a choice. Mm-hmm. And within a year, we moved on to another product called Four Max that wasn't very successful, a little bit more successful. I think Jeff was the biggest customer of it. Then finally, we kind of got it right with Four Loko, and it was be a crazy blend of flavors.
Wait, so what year was this?
This is 2008, 2009.
It was 2008. So yes. 2005 is when we started the business. We launched the product called Four. It tasted like Robitussin. It was awful, but we were just so excited to get a product to market. We had to find distributors. It was Highly regulated industry. We had no industry experience, like I said. We created all our corporate formation documents on LegalZoom, and we launched this product. Found a distributor in Ohio that was willing to take it. Then we launched in Arizona, and the product just like honestly sat on the shelf. It rotted, rusted on the shelf. We had zero consumers. I was honestly, but probably the biggest consumer because I was buying it back at Circle K's all throughout Arizona, hoping to show sales. And there were 600 of them, so I didn't make much headway, unfortunately. And we got discontinued. But it was a grind for 2 years. I was driving around in a Scion XB with a big can on top. It was wrapped on a steady diet of Rockstar energy drinks and Slim Jims, staying in Circus of all places. So it was tough to wake up every single morning and you go back to the same store a month later and they still have the same product on the shelf.
Yeah, and it's interesting, and I think why we've always been good partners with Barstool is I think there's a lot of similarities in the grind in the beginning and just figuring out and willing. And no one would give us money, so Jeff and I were out there doing everything, and that's when we figured out how to evolve the product to what the consumer wanted. We were in the wrong size can. People wanted higher ABV. They wanted value for their money, and that's kind of where the evolution to where we got to Four Loko was. And by the time we got there in 2008, it was a rocket ship right away. It was pretty wild.
How old were you guys in 2005?
26.
Yep,
Okay.
25, 26.
Damn.
So,
All right. So the real story of Four Loko is a couple guys in their mid-20s were like, "Hey, we love vodka Red Bull. Let's put it in a can."
Yes.
Yes.
No shit. That's like fucking genius. All right. So then we move it along. So we get.
I don't know about genius, but yes, we were filling a need and a gap in the market.
Yeah. I mean, it worked out. So then we get to 2008, and that's when I kind of. No, I was still in high school back then. All right, but then how did it? Four Loko, what was it? So you found out that consumers wanted it cheaper, higher ABV per can. You guys came out you guys made them like tall, big cans.
Big boys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the so 2008? Was that the first year when it really took off? Then.
So I was actually in San Diego, and there was this product. So I was hitting a lot of retailers. I was in San Diego. I saw stacks of this shit called juice, and it was selling like crazy. I mean, they had 30, 40 cases. I was like, what is this stuff? And it was a similar product, but it was a 24-ounce can, and it was 9.9% alcohol. Our current product, which was for regular, which was 5% or 6% alcohol. So I went back to Jason and my other partner, and I said, hey, I think we need to look at going with a larger can size and higher ABV. And we really need to make it stand out on the shelf. And collectively, we said, let's move forward. First flavor we came out with was fruit punch, and we wanted it crazy. We wanted polarizing on the shelf because most of the cans on the shelf were white, stale, or silver. So our Four Loko can definitely popped camo in your face. It was brash, abrasive, and we rolled out our first truck. I think it was into Washington, and right away we knew it was a home run. Yeah. It was honestly the first user-generated content created by any consumer for a brand. Yeah. YouTube, it was going wild. We had hip-hop artists that were creating videos. We had no idea who these people were in Houston, New Orleans, North Carolina, and they were getting millions of views. Yeah. So our consumers were actually creating the brand for us.
Right. And the content. So it was one of the first brands on Facebook, definitely on YouTube. And that was part of our rise and success. It seems normal now that you put everything on social, but when this is happening, it was kind of the perfect storm of social media, of content, and then obviously becoming the first cancel culture brand, comes quickly after that, right? And the success that we had, it was scary, right? And it was such a quick period from late 2008 to 2010, and now like I said, there's every day there's a new rap video on YouTube, or there's a new skit, or there's something going on with the brand, and we're just trying to keep up. Again, we're literally kids, And we have no lawyers, no lobbyists. And we thought, listen,
No office.
no office. The office was in my den in my apartment in Chicago. And we thought, we got the American dream. Like, people are gonna be happy for us. And as most companies that come out of nowhere find, people are not happy for you when you become super successful and start taking share away from them and customers away from them.
Yeah, the legacy brands, they
Yes.
came after your guys' asses, huh?
Yeah, they came hard. Well, first they came after us with competing products, right? That were knockoffs, complete knockoffs, right? And the consumers just didn't, they get it, they were like, nah, this doesn't make sense. So then they tried to cut the price and make it cheaper than what we had. And that didn't work either because our brand was just so strong. People really associated with having a fucking great night, epic story, epic night. Everyone's got a Four Loco story, anytime I tell someone, we started Four Loco, they're like, oh, this one time this happened,
I ended up in a field.
right. Everyone's got their story.
Yeah.
And then once the competing products didn't work, again, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but then somehow the government got involved. So it's kind of crazy how that kind of all spins, and really quick. And you got to remember, Jeff and I were not taking salaries, we weren't taking money out of the business. And then we started being hugely profitable and we started paying ourselves a little bit. And then, it was a quick 6-month period where we went from that to having to, reformulate and destroy, $30+ million worth of product. So for us, we really not got a sniff of that world. It was a quick taste. So,
But it was a rocket ship. Like 2005 through 2007, we were doing roughly $1 million in sales. 2008, we did 4.5 million. 2009, 45 million. In 2010, we were on track to do 200 million in revenue. It was
now
unbelievable ride.
Was it the caffeine proponent that was like, this is what's different? Or was it, like you said, your packaging and your marketing that it became cool? What was it that people needed to get Four Loco in their hands, do you think?
Yeah, I think, listen, and just like, there's Coke, there's Pepsi, there's Miller Lite, there's Bud Light, right? It's all the same stuff. We didn't have anything special. There was other products out there with caffeine in them, right? But I think we were building this brand for us and our friends, and that came through and it was spoke directly to our demographic as opposed to some old guy sitting in a room that's head of marketing trying to create products for people that he has no idea about. We also wanted to make the product, like for content. Right now, Facebook and Instagram is just starting. It's like you want to hold this can and it's a badge of honor and it stands out. It's like, I got this camo thing that's crazy. It's like, when we did research, it was like, it's 100% guarantee when I have this thing that I'm going to have a great time. Right. And so I think at the end of the day, brand always wins. And I think people just throw things against the wall, and you're probably seeing it now. There's a million new brands, celebrity brands, all this stuff, and they try to do it quick as opposed to try to build something, that's there for a legacy. I mean, Four Loko has been around since 2008 and it's still relevant, which is crazy. Most people think it's banned or gone or off the shelf, but we still sell it all over the world. So
yeah. Well, how much did that hurt you guys when that whole ban went through, where people thought like, oh, it doesn't exist anymore, it's not the same? Because that would always happen. Like I remember like Jack 3D, remember that like supplement? Yeah. I think they went through the same shit, and everyone's like, oh, it's not the old one. It's not the old one. Like you said, like 200 mil you guys were on pace to do. What did 2011 look like? Like, were you guys stopped in your tracks?
I think just to go back, like 2010, we actually felt like we made it. So in June 2010, we decided to rent a G4 and fly to Greece, get on like this amazing 200-foot yacht, and we're just sailing with our it's us three, and celebrating the time. And I'm sitting on the back of the yacht. I'm like, dude, this is way too easy. And within 4 months, when we got back, our business was basically on life support. Yep. We lost everything. Yep. We lost everything. Yep. Any cash that we took out of the business, we had to put back in the business. We lost 100,000 points of distribution. It was a product recall. And then we call our insurance broker and say, hey man, I just want to let you know, we got hit with 65 product liability lawsuits. We've got a shitload of product that is unsaleable. And we also, 26 attorney generals sued us and the FTC sued us. And we were 30 years old at the time. We're like, what the fuck do we do now?
We didn't have a lawyer. We didn't have a lawyer.
And our insurance broker's like, oh, I'm sorry, you don't have dram shop coverage. We're like, what do you mean dram shop coverage? He's like, yeah, that's liquor liability coverage. I didn't think you guys needed it because you're not selling directly to the consumer. You're selling to the distributor. The distributor sells to the retailer sells directly to the consumer, which is like the three-tier system in the US. So you guys are unfortunately uncovered. So not only was the product, the recall we had to pay for, and the destruction, which is $30+ million over the next 5 years, we had to settle all these lawsuits, the 56 product liability lawsuits, the AGs, the FTC, out of pocket over the next 5 years.
Yeah.
That cost us another $30 million.
And our bank kicked us out and said that they wouldn't allow us to bank with them, and no bank would pick us up. And thank God, the private bank in Chicago, which is now CIBC, banked us. We just needed a place to put our deposits in and pay out. And they're a great bank. We'll never leave them. But we were the demons, right? And then it became that all negative press became in the long run a positive, right? Because there was a 2-minute skit on Saturday Night Live. Bill Maher was talking every night. Every night show was talking about it. It was funny to talk about it. It became a comedy to talk about Four Loko. We even had, this is a good Chicago link. Our office was at North Milwaukee, Milwaukee North, and we had Suite 424, which was a mailbox at the UPS store. And so people would show up and protest at the mailbox at the UPS store, and the dude from the UPS store would be like, Jay, there's like these protesters out here. Do you want me to like do anything? We didn't even have an office, right? But we were just like these demonized people that is doing something wrong, and it was a weird time because like we did everything right, and we did it from scratch, and we built it the right way, and we did everything. We did it on our own back, and then you just get smacked in the face and punched down and kicked in the face and kicked in the ribs 10 times. But it was a difficult time, but again, we didn't have anything to fall back on. We didn't come for money. We didn't know anything else. And it was like, all right, let's get up and go. Let's figure this out.
Dude, I mean, most 30-year-olds don't know how to do their taxes. To be sued by that many people is fucking insane.
Without insurance coverage.
Yeah.
You just become emotionally numb to it.
Yes, you do.
Is that like at some point it just had to be like, all right, this isn't real. Like, like it's one of those things where it's like, oh, you got sued for, 800 million. It's like, well, I don't, it's just, I don't have that. This isn't right.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Right.
Yeah,
get in line. Get in line with the rest.
Dude, yeah, that's crazy. So what do you think was the big linchpin to make it demonized? Like, do you think it was like, say if you were a conspiracy theorist, right, was it the legacy brands who were like, hey, we don't want this in the market? Or was it like someone got information that like, hey, this is the caffeinated alcoholic drink, we need to go down on them now. We need to go hard on them now.
Well, if you look at what happened, caffeine and alcohol is still around. You can still have it. You could still have it after what happened. They just found a specific way to really hone in on us. And I think there was a lot of uncertainty and unknown. Some of these officials, they never been on YouTube, and they go on there and there's college age kids shotgunning Four Locos. And they're like, all right, what is this? Is this the new, pen? They had no clue what was going on. They're just seeing these images. And they're probably getting whispers from lobbyists from the other big companies because they're a little scared too, because this thing could really take over, and they weren't able to participate in. So I think it was a lot of different influences going on. And then, there's people like Chuck Schumer who held a press conference and was like, this is, being marketed towards kids. So he jumped on the bandwagon, and then everyone else jumps on the bandwagon. And then you don't want to be the only state attorney general that's not part of this thing. So now you're going to jump on too and make sure that, you're fighting for, whatever it is that the new issue is that people are talking about. So we learned a lot about politics. We learned a lot a lot about business. And listen, there's always going to be no one's going to be happy for you, especially if you're taking market share away from them, no matter what your story is. So,
Damn, dude, that's honestly fucking insane. Like the highs and lows of that, like the emotion of that jet leaving for
yes,
Greece and then returning would just had to be all time emotion switch.
right, right, yeah, it was. But I think in essence, if we look back now, and a lot has happened between then, and we can talk about that, but we have no outside investors. It's Jeff and I. We run the company. We work on projects that we like. We work with people that we like. And I think that getting through that, and we have employees that have been with us ever since that, and so, like some people won't work with Barstool, right? We're like, bring it on.
Yeah.
Let's push and bend the rules, right? And I think that's in our ethos. That's in the brands that we've, created since, and that's kind of what our viewpoint is looking forward. And then that whole time springboard our international business. We have a massive business outside the U.S. Four Loko is the number one RTD in a lot of these other countries, and so as much as it hurt us financially way back then, the benefits now outweigh it, but you can't see it then. You can't see it. So,
Do you remember the first time you saw it in the wild? Like, what was that like?
the first time I saw Four Loko in the wild,
Yeah, when you're like, oh my god, like this shit's taking off. Like, I assume that was probably a pretty big moment. I don't, maybe it's not memorable or not, but
no, there definitely is, because before, when you have a product that doesn't move, you walk into a store and you're like, you gotta sell the fact that this is gonna sell in the future. And I remember we were in New York and we walked into one of these big sub distributors, like big cash and carries. And he said, I want a truckload of product tomorrow because I've been selling it this fast. And that's the moment I was like, oh shit, this is this is really something. Like, this isn't Jeff pulling up his Scion, moving product out the back door. Like, people are actually buying this shit.
mm-hmm.
So that was my moment. I don't know about yours, Jeff.
Yeah, I was going into 7-Elevens throughout Southern California, and they were just amazed, blown away. I was seeing 30, 40 cases, stacks of Four Loco in their coolers, and they had no space for anything else. It was all Four Locos. And actually, retailers were putting full doors of Four Loko. So you'd walk into a store, and it was all single cans of different flavors of Four Loko because it was selling so well. They couldn't keep it in stock. That's when I knew we were onto something big.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember it being in PCB at Spinnaker's Beach House.
Spinnakers.
Oh,
Spinnakers.
yes.
Yes, dude. I
Yes.
remember, I was hammered, just turning around, and there was a cart, Four Loco, 2 for $20, and it's just like, yep, son.
Yes.
Yeah,
I'm in. Yeah.
exactly.
Those were some fun times with T-Pain and Waka Flocka. We did a lot of stuff with Spinnakers. It was a great spot.
Well,
So,
yeah. That was my next thing too. Like, what was the coolest thing in pop culture? Like you said Bill Maher, you said SNL, those
yeah.
guys. What was the thing where you're like, holy fuck, Jason? Did you guys see this? Like, what?
Right.
This was wild.
There's so many things, and it's kind of why it's part of pop culture. It's like it's entered into TV shows, it's entered into this and all those things. But T-Pain actually got a Four Loco chain that I'll send you a picture of, and it was diamond encrusted. And I was like, okay, T-Pain's got a Four Loco chain. I think we're in a good spot. So.
That's sweet. You got one, Jeff?
I haven't yet. Still waiting. Still waiting.
Yeah. What about your like pop culture moment? Was there one that you like look back on and you're like, holy fuck, that's like we're on this.
I mean, I think Saturday Night Live was pretty big.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, the skit on Saturday Night Live was really big. Everybody, I mean, I probably received 100 text messages. Hey, did you see this? I'm like, yeah, because 2 days later, that's when the FDA shut us down. It's like, this is great.
Are you guys grudge guys?
Are we what?
Are you grudge guys?
I listen, I'm not as far as Dave, but yes, in the back of my head, there's definitely a spot for people. I don't have champagne bottles, but I definitely I definitely, especially the industry kind of turned their back on us too. And so, now that people want to like partner and do this, it's like, no, if you want to pay for one of our brands, we'll talk. If not, fuck off. Where
Yeah.
were you at when we needed you? Every company said, these guys aren't doing the right things, or they shouldn't be in the industry, or they're illegal, from Boston Beer to White Claw guys that might like they all turned their back on us. And so, we've been in this alone, and we're going to continue to be in this alone. So that's kind of my view.
Now, was that
Yeah. So
did they ever offer anything to buy Four Loco? Did that ever conversation happen?
So we have a lot of conversations, but we built other brands on the back of Four Loco. We did a brand with the fat Jewish called Babe that Budweiser ended up buying. We started a brand called Not Your Father's Root Beer that Paps ended up buying from us. So that was
Those are
all in the
guys.
back of Four Loco. And Four Loco is a massive brand that continues to grow. It allows us to do other things, like Pyro Water, like Mamitas, like the new things that we want to innovate with. So would we consider it? Everyone's asked, yeah, if someone is willing to really overpay, but Jeff and I are still enjoying what we do, and until the day I wake up and I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore, then we'll have that conversation.
That's it. I'm sorry, Jeff. What were you gonna say? I cut you off.
I don't even remember.
Yeah. Is there so I mean you could say it or not, but in your or you could just keep it in your head, but is there like a big nemesis from those days that you guys think about, like that was the like that motherfucker? They were like the big part in getting us shut down.
There definitely is, but I like to keep that to myself.
Yeah, we've learned it's not good to
Yes.
kind of take shots at the government. They'll come for your ass.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I mean, our distributor partners actually helped us stay in business. They loved us. We brought the fun to the industry. It was a stale industry. And honestly, during those times, the inventory, the caffeinated inventory that they had in their warehouse, they actually took a haircut on that inventory. So, and helped us basically finance the next 5 years to be able to get through the situation. So we couldn't have done it without our distributor partners. It was the competitive suppliers that, you know, I have strong grudges against.
Yeah. No, I got you. And the truth behind the new formula, like what's the big difference between Four Loco now and those days?
Yeah, the issue was the government said add caffeine added to flavored malt beverage was illegal. So we had to take out the stimulants. It was the caffeine, the guarana, and taurine. We had to remove those. So now it's just a flavored malt beverage
Yep.
without the stimulants.
So is that allowed now or no?
It is if it's natural, if it's naturally occurring. So twisted tea has caffeine because it's naturally occurring. So it was a carve out directed directly towards our business.
Yes. So Twisted Tea good, Four Loco not. And basically they made a judgment on certain consumers and price points, and that they were trying to protect, younger people with less money because they didn't know what was going on. But, a bigger company that owns Twisted Tea, they were fine. And that's product's still been around. So you can still have it. It just probably can't say Four Loco on it.
Yeah, because I was gonna say I just had your guys the canned espresso martini from
Yes.
Mamitas.
Yes.
It's awesome, and
Yeah.
that's fine because it's natural. You're saying
It's natural. And it doesn't say Four Loco.
Yes.
that's another component.
I think it's more the latter.
It doesn't have those 8 letters on it. No, you're right. And then anything else we didn't get to today about the whole Four Loco story? I mean, I'm sure it's endless, but
No, I mean, Jeff, talk a little bit about our international business. I mean, it is a massive business outside the US. And I think, most people in these other countries, they think that, Four Loko is theirs. So it's, the appeal, not only pop culture in the US, which is still massive, but also the appeal internationally is, it's continued to grow at fast pace for us.
Yeah, just from the headlines in 2002, it's become a badge of honor to a lot of these international markets because the headlines didn't just stay in the US. We were getting international coverage. So we launched in Mexico. We're in 20,000 OXXOs. We're like the number uh, fourth largest RTD in Mexico, Four Loko. Colombia, we're the second largest RTD. Peru, we've got 42% market share. We're the number one RTD in Peru, number one in Ireland, number four in UK. So our business continues to grow, and consumers, I mean, the brand continues to resonate with our core demographic.
Yep.
What do you guys think is like the next big thing? Because that's kind of how it went down, right? Like everyone was all over seltzers, and they still are to an extent, but now
Yep.
it's more vodka soda, I guess. Do you like is it shocking to you, however changing it is, and do you see anything else that might be next on the forefront here?
Yeah, I mean, listen, we hope we know what's on the forefront, but
Yeah.
it's hard to know, you know. And I think what happens with these categories is like same thing with Four Locos. Like everyone rushed in, everyone competitors, and then seltzers happened, and everybody rushed in. We didn't rush in. What we did was basically say, okay, there's a core business, which is White Claw and Truly, and then what are the auxiliary stuff going to be around it, right? And so we looked and we saw, okay, there's a vodka soda, but there's not really tequila soda. So maybe we could get a part of this and a little premiumization. So I think that was kind of our bet in the evolution of it. I think what we're seeing though is it's going to go back a little bit. I don't think it's going to go all the way back to like full flavor, full sugar. I think it's like, okay, I don't want 0 grams of sugar. I want a little bit of taste, but I don't want, 50 grams of sugar, right? I want something in between. So I think we're starting to see that a little bit right now, and maybe less carbonated. People want less carbonation because stomach, whatever it may be. So where traditionally most of these products have been carbonated, I think we're starting to see some uncarbonated actually work. So.
Mm-hmm.
But tequila is obviously hot. All the spirits are, doing what they do. But in this category, it's all about flavor, innovation, and new. That's what people want. They want to try something new. They want to try something. They want to discover it. They want it to be their brand.
And what's your guys? So right now, Pirate Water, Four Loko, Mamitas. Yep. What am I missing?
We have a product called Four Loco pregame, and then we have a high gravity beer called Earthquake. So those are our focuses. And then we have a vodka called Basic Vodka.
Gotcha. Mamitas is so slept on.
Yeah, it is.
It truly is. It truly is.
By far our best tasting product we've ever made.
Yeah. It's a great brand too. Again, we like to create brands for the long run. And people love it. They love to interact with it. And even people that don't like tequila, when they drink it, they're like, oh my God, I love this.
I'm one of those. Yeah.
So, we're continuing to innovate on that and continue to push and push and push. And a lot of people have come in the tequila space, including the giant, and have not been successful. So, we're gonna keep our brand continuously to grow and keep it steady, and we're confident where it's gonna go.
And then my last question: you guys are Ohio guys. Did I get that right?
The Ohio State
University.
Okay.
Yes.
The Ohio State guys. All right. So I don't know if you've seen, but me and Dana we're doing this series for Pirate Water about bachelor parties.
Yes.
Okay. So we're finding the best bachelor party destination. Yes. And I keep telling them we can't end the series without going to Put in Bay. Yes. Have you guys ever been?
Oh, yes. Yes. Yes.
Wow, I was not expecting that one. I haven't been there since a bachelor party, I don't know, 17 years ago, and I probably will never go back. So,
me too. I don't think I'm allowed back.
Come on, let's figure something out. Let's ship a bunch of Four Loco Pirate Water Mamitas onto the bay, and we'll get something going.
It's there everywhere. I'm going to tell you that's core demo. That's core demo there.
All right, cool. So the Pirate Water founders, you guys agree that we at least got to check it out. Dana has to see Put in Bay.
Yes.
Oh yes.
Okay.
It's a must see.
It's a must. It's very underrated.
Dude, it's so underrated. It's so underrated. All right, Jason, Jeff, thanks for hopping on. Anything else you guys want to get out there before you wrap up here?
No, we appreciate the time and
appreciate your partnership as well.
Yeah, no, honestly, love working with you guys. You guys are easy to work with, and you guys do good stuff. So thanks again for jumping on. This was fun.
Yeah. Have a great week.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.